Said that, what are the first steps? I mean, I think the toughest thing as I talk to people around the country, it's like, what do I do first? A lot of people have ideas. I think everyone has ideas, but taking an idea from sketchbook to market and actually doing stuff, like what did you, how did the initial inertia, I guess, like what'd you do?
I think the honestly the hardest step is the first step, which is just the decision to do it. Right, so once you like we were talking about, it's very hard to leave the comfy, cushy corporate job, even if you don't really like it and you're unhappy. It's hard to make that lifestyle change. I mean, your friends will question you, right? Why are you leaving that job? Your managers will question you. Hey, you're about due for a promotion. Your family will question you because they think, what are you doing chasing this dream?
What was that college degree for? Yeah,
right. What was that college degree for? So there's all these challenges. So that first step is the hardest, but once you make that, it all kind of falls into your lap of what to do. So if you can figure out a way to get comfortable with the decision to go do something new or do something innovative, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you go drop everything and do a startup, but it might mean that you go say, you know what, this career path is not for me, and go try something different. Yeah. Go work in a different industry that's always interested you. Yeah. Go do that. There's no real reason why you should be unhappy in your job in a place like the United States when there's amazing opportunity around.
Yeah, sure.
So, and then beyond that, really the first steps for us was just wireframe, mock up, think about what is the problem we want to solve and what can we build to solve that problem. Yeah. But you never get it right at the beginning, so it doesn't really behoove you to spend too much time on that. Yeah. But you just kind of think. I think actually the thing once you decide is you want to just think about what is the problem I'm solving, really understand that problem, and how can you simply and elegantly find a solution.
Mm-hmm. You have to talk to other people to do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, how did you, because you actually met a guy, and I don't know if you remember him, but you met somebody that we're staying with here, Jeff Power.
And you're staying with Jeff? Nice.
Yeah, we're staying with Jeff. I didn't know you guys knew Jeff, but he mentioned you, and he's like, he brought me, he wanted to have coffee and talk about the app, and talk about, all, and you had that coffee, and you asked Jeff, who's not like a digital native or anything, about like kind of everything. And
yeah, and I don't know, I think a lot of people, maybe a lot of like first-time entrepreneurs have this idea of like, they shouldn't talk to, whatever. They have this idea and I need to make it happen and then show the world.
Yeah.
But nobody's really going to steal your idea. Yeah. Is how it works out. And it's much better to talk to everybody else and like see how confused they are, and be able to sort of like find the idea that way.
And did you guys put up, I mean, I know you obviously got into the Techstars program. I want to talk a little bit about that, but did you have a prototype up and then apply to Techstars? Mm-hmm. Was Techstars like, if we don't get Techstars, then we're not going to do this? Or were you like, either way, we're going for this? Like, tell me a little bit about that kind of journey. And all
I think we definitely had a prototype up before Techstars, but it was real basic. It's important to get something. So to Ryan's point, talk to your customers, figure out what they want, then build a prototype that you think serves that need, and then get as many people on as you can. Don't be shy if it looks bad, if it performs poorly. You really got to start getting, it's a little bit of like a technical word, but like empirical validation that what you're building is what people want. Yeah, and you can also see, maybe what you built, everyone loves 1/10 of it, so you really invest in that and focus on that. Or maybe, people use it for something that you didn't expect. You do it for that. So what we did is we talked to people, although we probably could have done a better job early on, but we also lived and breathed the product, for 6 months. We had a good sense of what we wanted. We built a basic product and then tried to get as many people on as we could. Mm-hmm. That all happened before Techstars. It was really important for us to have a prototype so that they had something to play around with and kind of see the vision.
Sure.
And then from there, we got into Techstars and we've iterated and launched numerous versions since then.
That's tell me about that, because Techstars is a very competitive thing, and I think a lot of people would probably not even. It takes a lot to fill out that application, so maybe a lot of people would say, I'm not even going to waste my time because it's like harder than getting into Harvard,
Sure.
And for two guys who are not native programmers, and do like, what was that?
Well, I think us not being native programmers was a huge help for us getting in.
Really?
Because, it's super competitive, and so how do you stand out? The way we stood out was, here's two guys, came from finance, so they understand business, who decided to quit everything, which is a little bit crazy, right? You want to invest in people who are crazy, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Passionate.
Right,
crazy,
passionate, just spent a bunch of time traveling and living in this market, and they'd spent the last 8 months living in their parents' basement, learning how to program, and have built a functioning prototype. That was a really compelling story to Techstars of, hey, these guys, like, because it's not really investing in the idea, it's investing in the team. Like, these guys are going to figure this out, right? Whether it's what we let them in the program for or whatever, we believe in them being able to figure it out. Right. So for companies that are planning to apply, I think definitely apply. It was one of the best things we could have done probably the best thing we could have done for Everlater.
Yeah.
It was a good motivator too. I mean, we definitely cranked it up. Like, hey, we need to do this. We need to keep making progress up to the time
that we could.
Yeah.
What if you would have not? What if you had been rejected? I mean, what were you? Would it have? That was the end, the end of the road if we don't get accepted.
Yeah, I always say that Techstars was my idea, but there's maybe different memories of that. But just like that.
We'll give you credit either way.
So it was happening either way, you know, and then it was like, oh, maybe we should, this would be a great thing to be involved in, and definitely part of the reason that we got in, these guys got in, is just because they were part of the community leading up to that anyway.
Gotcha.
So I think
I agree.
not as a way to dissuade people, but if we weren't in Boulder,
it'd be much harder.
Two non-programmers, But to that, if you want to be entrepreneurial, you should be getting involved in your own community. You're going to sit in a basement writing a website, but nobody's ever going to know about it if you don't know other people to talk to about it.
Sure.
To use people who would invest in you,
And so let me ask you guys a little bit about marketing, because one thing, I have a lot of friends, some programmers who are brilliant, but and I know people who've created brilliant applications who have 7 users, literally, because the marketing is the part that sometimes programmers just forget about. What about that? How did you go out and reach out and start marketing and the whole community management thing? How'd you guys do that, with the travel?
To be honest, we're still learning that. I think we've done an okay job. I think we haven't done an amazing job. We've relied really... one of the benefits of Everlater is it's something that people naturally want to share. So when you're trying to build a site around virality, it's hard to convince people to share something that's inherently not shareable, right? What deodorant do you use? What soap do you use? That's not really shareable, but your trip is very shareable.
Yeah, sure.
So we've relied a lot on the viral nature of our product. In terms of marketing, we've tried to do partnerships that make sense and attract the right audience, but we, to be honest, have not been super successful with that. And then the other way is just kind of word of mouth. The more people that get on there, we try to get out in the community and spread what we're doing. That's really what we've done. I think we have still a lot to learn in that area.
Yeah.
And in terms of our focus for the next year, that's a key one for us, is how can we better do marketing. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of people that use our site that I find out later are local, but we don't know them. So it's we were somewhere that they heard of us, or they know someone that knows us, and so if we're living in a town where we didn't know anyone, or we weren't part of the community, the
community's been huge for us. The Boulder community has gone to bat for us, and
that's huge.
And
that's cool.
I hear it's a little bit different here. I don't know, but just everybody's all the companies are very supportive of each other, and it's not competitive, and so when you hear, you're you're constantly recommending companies that you know about to other people, and so that's definitely been a part of it. I think we could definitely do a better job of hitting the pavement in marketing or AdWords or any of that stuff,
sure.
But instead we're focusing maybe a little bit too much on the product.
It's always a dilemma. How do you
balance it?
Well, you're like, I really want to make this amazing product, but you're like, well, should we keep promoting the one we've already built? We've already built this. We should validate this even more. So all startups, we always have that push-pull dynamic there.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to talk about that you asked was, would we have done Techstars if we hadn't gotten into Techstars? Would we keep working on Everlater? And absolutely, I think every company. When you start a company, you should expect to work on it for 5 years. We didn't realize that it was going to be that long, to be honest. A 5-year minimum to really know if this is going to be successful.
Sure.
That's not to say that you're not going to be successful earlier than that, or that you're going to be poor and living in your parents' basement for 5 years. I hope, but it takes a long time. It's not going to happen overnight. And we loved the product. We loved working on it. We loved being in Boulder. So if we didn't get into Techstars, we still would have made it really, really work to make it happen. I don't think we would have been as successful, but I think you have to have that vision and drive, irrespective of the bumps that you hit on the way.
Gotcha.
Whether that's a good bump or a bad bump.